Hello and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball. Perfect team, everybody. And it's another sort of late update. It's a sort of mid-season update. And the first thing I can tell you is if we look back in 2024, we did not get promoted. And with a record of 82 and 80, just slightly over 500, as you can see, we were 4 games behind, so it didn't get into the playoffs. It wasn't a fantastic season. It was an improvement though, so we did score 768 runs, and we managed to reduce the number of runs scored against us, and in fact it was our best year thus far. If you look one line down, that's how we're going this year, and I have made a raft of changes. I've finally got some time to really look deeply into my team, and one thing that came out really clearly was the fact that I sucked at putting my team together. So I have to take that one on the chin, and there's going to be a bit of rebuilding required. So I've already put steps in place to try to address that, and one of them is defense, because our defensive results were pretty terrible. But this year we're going okay. We're first in our division, but we're 496. The reason we're first is we're in a pretty weak division, and I'll show you that right now. Let's go to the standings. If you look here, we're top at 66 and 67, so less than 500. If you look around the league, obviously, if we look at wins, 71 in Central, AEC Central, 78 over here in the East. Over on the NC, we've got 83 wins for the leader, 80 for this for Central, and 106 for these guys here, and they've already qualified. Now, the thing with this is that you only have to get in the playoffs, and it doesn't really matter if I'm in a weak division and I just scrape in. I don't care how I do it, I just want to get in there. I mean, at the end of the day, though, you're probably going to have to make it through that first round with just 6 teams promoted. And so I've really got to make sure once I get into the playoffs that I can at least steal maybe that first series. If I can do that, then suddenly I'm promoted. So, yeah, it's been an interesting sort of last season or so. Let me just show you some of the changes that I've made. Like I said, I put a real premium on defense, because when I looked at the stats, basically our errors were atrocious, and our fielding was really hurting us. We had Walker, who, have I still got him in here? Because I did keep a couple of the players just as backups. Yeah, Greg Walker. For some reason, I had him on first base. Here he is here. We'll bring up Greg, and his first base stats are pretty terrible. And he had his own rating of minus 8.9 with 12 errors on the season. What? Oh no, that was after 89 games. After 89 games, he had 12 errors. I don't know what he was doing. And I don't know, this is the thing, because I hadn't paid much attention to what I was doing, and I hadn't really sat down for the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons and really understood what was going on. I didn't pick up the fact that I had Anthony Rizzo here, who's got a much better first base stat right there, or rating. I had him in DH, and I had Walker in at first base, and so that made no sense whatsoever. So now Walker's just sort of a backup, really. So I got him out of there. The other one, and this one hurt a little bit, had to get rid of Didi Gregorius. He had his own rating of minus 7.5. 10 errors on this season, and that was, I wasn't just firing them after just one bad season, by the way. They had a bit of a record of not performing all that great. So Didi, he completely went. Another one was Stanton. He was out in the outfield. Obviously, he had a minus 4.3 zone rating, so not great, not absolutely atrocious, but not great at all. But he also had a terrible batting average. He was bad. And I think if you go onto the auction house and you look, you see a lot of Stantons listed, and having a lot of one card listed is usually a good indication that they're not that good. What else did I do? So Didi, by the way, his batting average wasn't great. He was just average, really, at best. He did have one good year, but apart from that, really was pretty average. And the other one, Ramirez. So where are we? Jose Ramirez right here. And he had a pretty terrible fielding season. When I looked at that at one stage there, when I looked at him, he had 12 errors on the season, but he was making up with it at the time with his offensive production. As you can see here, his on-base percentage is pretty good. His WAR has been pretty consistent in the 4s again this year. So some good stats right there from Jose Ramirez. So who did we bring in? So I brought in Tulowitzki. Hope I pronounced that correctly. I never get that one. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And really what I did is, like I said earlier, I put a premium on fielding. So he's replacing Didi, who had a minus 7.5. Just looking at my piece of paper here, 7.5 zone rating. And if you look at Troy right here, plus 17. So again, some really good defensive performance from him. From a batting stats point of view, let's see, average 276. So average isn't great, but on base percentage is not great either, by the way. But his WAR, he's 5 again this year. 5 when he was with another team that was in a lower league though. But the good thing is that I just really wanted to shore up the defense. So I was happy that he hasn't quite got that offensive production. This year's completely fine though, 274 and 328. That's about league average, so I'm more than happy with that. So brought Troy in for his defensive ability. Talked about selling Stanton, so then I moved Rizzo to first base because of his better fielding, and Walker to designated hitter. But now I've made a couple other changes, and Walker's now, is he even in against lefties? No, because I think he's pretty solid against lefties from a let's see, batting stats view. Expanded batting stats. Now, how do I see against lefties and righties? I can never remember. Versus lefties. Where are we? Oh, I'm on the wrong bloody thing here. Basic batting stats is what I'm looking at. Okay, no good against them. Maybe it was against righties that he was decent. Yeah, he's definitely got a massive swing towards righties. What is he? He is a left-handed batter, so there's no surprises there. So I had him in against righties as our designated hitter at one point, but then I've made a few adjustments since then, and he's now back pretty much as a backup player. I went ahead and picked up Joc Pederson. Once again, this is he replaced Stanton out in left field, and he's got that great left field fielding rating. His outfield stats aren't unbelievable, and if we take a look at his fielding stats, he has got a positive zone rating, so we've flicked over from a poor zone rating to a much better one, and his efficiency is much better, so I'm happy with that. Definitely brought him in from a defensive point of view, and as you can see again this year, 215 average with an on-base percentage of 308. He's not he's not blowing it away, but it does have a 1.6 WAR, so it's not disgraceful. So really in there for his defensive ability, but I would like to get someone else into left field who maybe has got a better contact rating, just better all-round stats. And that's one thing, when I look through some of these guys that aren't performing, I think if you look at the right fielder, Roberts here, his iron discipline's down in 50. He's had a couple of good seasons in there. Not with me, though. So there we go. That was I think RO league, that's a rookie league. So yeah, you can't really take that into account. But with us, he's 258 and 298, nothing amazing, just 0.8 WAR, but he's got some great fielding stats there, so that's another reason for bringing him in. I picked up George Springer in centre field, and he's got pretty solid centre field ratings, great outfield ratings, which really helps. He's not setting the world alight, he hasn't been setting the world alight up until this point, but this year he's having a bit of a breakout year, 277, 380, 470 slugging. What's he got? 114 hits. So yeah, pretty happy with that actually, and 3.7 WAR. But I think if we look at his fielding stats, they were solid but not amazing. Yeah, he had minus 3.5 last year, so he's borderline. But definitely, that offensive production is slightly better. So I'm happy he's starting to turn around, because I was a little bit worried about picking him up and not seeing him perform. The other thing I've done is I've set up a global strategy right here of what's my preset that I've got on? I can't even remember now. Where does it say it? I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure that it's just conventional from memory. Traditional, I think it is. Where does it say it? I can't see. I'm pretty sure that's where it is. And then individual player strategy, what I've actually done, I've only got one player that's got an individual strategy, and that is Ramirez. Because he is an outstanding base runner, one of my very few, in fact. So I've got a individual strategy for him to actually steal a lot, and that's probably going to be reflected in his stolen bases. Yeah, 35 this year. Did get caught 10 times, so he's definitely been a bit more aggressive though. So with a little bit of the season left, he should have his best year for stolen bases. So that seems to be working out well. So let's just do a really quick overview of how the team is performing this year. From an RBI point of view, you've got Jose Ramirez up the top again. He's perennially up the top there for us. He's been a fantastic player. And Rizzo again. And it's great to see Tulowitzki up there too. So 73 down to 61 right there. If we look at runs across the plate, 75 for Jose Ramirez. No surprises there. Home runs, we've got, it's a pretty tight race. Joc Pederson coming to the fore this year, tied with Troy. And then Jose Ramirez close behind and George Springer chiming in. So that's pretty good. From a hits point of view, Jeff McNeil, yeah, he's a bit of an enigma, old McNeil. 255, 297, so not amazing. Slugging's not great. OPS is not great. OPS plus is not great. WAR is average. But he's got a few hits. So there you go. And Troy Tulowitzki in the frame again, 128. Then Rizzo, 123. Doubles this year, Jose Ramirez and Tulowitzki. I mean, we're getting pretty much repeat yourself every time right here. Joc Pederson and Rizzo. A lot of doubles in that space there, but pretty tightly contested up the top there. And it's always good to see the guys in the green. In other words, your starting guys, they're the ones performing for you. If we look at triples, Jose Ramirez again, George Springer right there. And so that's pretty solid right there. Have I done home runs? Can't remember. I think I did. I'm having a shocker. So from an on-base percentage point of view, it's a big one for me. George Springer, looking good. 380, that's outstanding. Jose Ramirez up there again. Ramirez, he hasn't had many bats though, or plate appearances either. He's only had 54 plate appearances. I should have used 320 as my average, so really from Troy upwards is average and better. So, and just to round off the hitters from a WAR point of view, Troy Tulowitzki having a breakout year, Jose Ramirez up there again, and George Springer rounding out the top three. It's so annoying. I tell you, I'm really frustrated with this team. It's not, I need to make some changes, there's no doubt. Bring in some offensive performance here, now that I've got a bit of defense. But to be 67 and 66, it's not awesome. I prefer to be better than that. Let's take a look at the pitches, and I think, the starting rotation is definitely holding their own. And let's just get to FIP here, because I like that. Their FIP's not great down here. So what you see is what you get. So, I mean, you really want them all to be in the threes at this level. So some of them aren't performing amazingly. I mean, wins, who cares? I mean, wins, don't get me wrong. Wins are important, but it's not the stat to be, in my opinion, to be measuring these guys by. If we look at WAR, we've got all the starting pitchers apart from Clayton Kershaw up the top there again, so there's no surprises there. From a whip point of view, Liam Hendriks is having a good year with 1.17 whip, and if you look at his breakdown of his other stats, 0.8 home runs, that's great. Base on balls is a little bit high, but Ks are high. It's going well. In a FIP of 3.34, so he's, what's his actual ERA? Who am I looking at? Hendriks. 2.93, so nice. Yep, so it's fielding has been helping him out a bit, actually. So one thing I did do in there's two changes I've made in the pitching rotation. It's in the bullpen, in fact. I brought in Aishin right here, and look at this. He's got some really nice stats there. And, his home runs per 9 are pretty solid. Base on balls, 5.1. See, this is what makes no sense to me. Control is what should be reflected in your base on balls, and he's 5.1. I mean, how many games? 32 games. He's at 38 innings pitched, so he might have had a couple of bad innings, but he's 1.84. Look at these. This is the thing that's frustrating with this game sometimes. He's got fantastic, ratings, and he's just not performing. Ks per 9's not amazing. And look at, these are pretty average too. So Aishin's one guy I brought in. And the other guy who I only just brought in literally today is Scott Radensky, who is a snapshot card, in fact, from the Dodgers. 1996 for those playing at home. So he's got some really nice ratings right here, and his slider being his most dominant pitch. He's only pitched a couple of innings, only 2 hits, 1.9. Base on balls a little bit high. Ks is nice, no home runs. He's actually looking pretty solid. So I do need to do some work in here. I think Farnsworth just isn't performing. Let's see, control. So his Ks per 9 are unbelievable. Base on balls is great. And home runs per 9, 0.9. So, I mean, that's those three there. They're good indicators. And, base on balls, yep, fine. That's average. That's better than average. And that's way better than average. What's his FIP? Let's get here. Farnsworth. Where are you? FIP. Yeah, 2.7. Okay, so fielding's letting him down big time. So it's a bit of a shocker. So a bit of work to do in my rotation. It's just not quite working. So I need to really sit down and figure that out. Obviously, I've got very few perfect points, so there's not a lot I can do in that respect. So I'm just going to have to get creative, keep moving things around until we sort of get into our groove. Let's look at fielding. Fielding stats. Let's look at zone rating. It's one I like. Look at that. Troy, loving it. So Jeff McNeil at second base. We've got a problem there, obviously, because this is a problem with Jeff, and that's why his WAR, I would say, is, let's see, what's his WAR? Yeah, it's 0.3. That will be contributed right there, but I mean, he's not putting it on the board offensively. He's very average. He had a couple of good early seasons with us, but yeah, that's, I mean, 2023 is just average at 289 and 325, 288 and 322. That's average. So it's fine, but not when you're ripping out these sorts of stats. Minus 7.6 second base. Where did he have total at second base? Yeah, he's just not good at second base. Let's have a look. Have I had a shocker here? Yeah, he's 50 at second base. I mean, yeah. And his infield ratings aren't unbelievable. I use a 20 to 80 rating scale, by the way, for those playing who haven't seen the earlier videos. So I'm afraid he's got great contact, but his iron discipline isn't great. Strikeouts are relatively high. But, yeah, he's in a bit of an enigma too. But, you know, he's had some great years through the middle there. Where was he playing, though? Was he playing second base? Where did I have him? Maybe I didn't have him at second base. I need to see. This is the thing. I need to delve down and just find out what was going on right there. Let's go. View. League scope. All levels. View. Expanding. And that's not what I want. Anyway, bit of work to do there, but he's certainly not very good at second base. He's decent at third base, but I think we've got Ramirez in at third base. Yeah, he's not going to replace him. Anyway, guys, I've rambled on a bit too long there, but the end answer is we're in the fight this year on the back of the fact we're in a weak division. So great, we will take advantage of that. But overall, I've got this team as a rebuild now, because when I look, the more I've looked at it, I mean, look, some of these, look at these percentages, 974. I mean, that's just, we get into territory we don't want to be in right there. So it's definitely improved, but we've still got a bit of work. I'm going to put a premium on defensive players, and then just look to get a bit more of a solid offensive rating across the board. But anyway, hey, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Make sure you smash that like button down below, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, take it easy.